Alrighty, welcome one and all to the latest edition of Rank Your Albums, number 7, aka No Metal. Also, I'm sorry if it seems some of you guys took the no distorted guitars a little thing too seriously. That was just kind of like an emphasis, like no metal, please. But I guess some of you guys were like, there's some distorted guitars in these videos or these albums, and it's like, I mean, you can have distorted guitar, but just no like, So yeah, I'm shooting this right after I did my anniversary video because I got my friend Nick coming over. We're gonna watch One Piece, and until he shows up, I'm gonna do this because I'm not gonna want to do 40 albums in one sitting. So we're just gonna do this until he gets here. So shout out Nick, and let's get kicking. So we have 40 albums. However, I am not including Clowncore in this ranking to dastardly the dastardly dipshits. It's kind of insane. I agree, and for the record, it is unironically very hype. It's a really great album. When one of them is playing one hand drum and the other hand is doing like synth. One of the most fucking craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. Not to mention they got like those solid ass grooves and soft jams like the last track. It's like memecore, but they're so talented it kind of transcends memecore and becomes its own thing. Like I remember the first time I saw it. I think it was Hell. It's not on Van, but that's my favorite song of theirs, Hell. But the first time I saw it, like I couldn't even believe what I was watching. But the reason I'm not gonna throw it into the ranking is because, like, dude, where am I gonna put this thing? It's just so like out there that I was like, okay, I had it like on my list. I just had it sitting there for like the entire time because it was like somewhere in like the 10 to 20 albums I heard it, and I was like, I don't know where to put this, so I'm just not putting it anywhere. However, if I was going to put it somewhere, it would probably be somewhere between like number 8 and like 14, somewhere in that ballpark. I would put it. So. But yes, let's get on to the official ranking, starting with number 39. And dude, everyone who knew me knew this was going to be in last place, bro. So I'm sorry to Rexton, but Kendrick Lamar is coming in last place to Pimp a Butterfly. I am taking a huge risk here with this, but honestly, even if I end up at the bottom, it's cool. I just want to see what you think of this massively crafted hip-hop record. It barely has any samples, and it takes a lot of influence from jazz and soul music, so there is like a 0.5% chance you might not hate it, but we'll see. Well, here we are in last. And, when I read that, okay, it takes inspiration from jazz, there was, I forget what song it was, but it was just straight up like smooth jazz for a couple seconds. I was like, okay, here we go. And then like the first thing he says ruined it. Just, I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom this shit, bro. Because something like These Walls, I thought was pretty harmless. Like, that one was okay. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's like it's deliberately designed to completely aggravate me. For sale. I get they're called interludes, but 5 minutes for an interlude is pretty insane. Like, what is this voice, bro? What the fuck is that? And then you have All Right, which, dude, there's a guy at work who fucking plays some of this guy's songs. All Right is one of them. Fucking can't stand it. And dude, if I have to hear that godforsaken "Not Like Us" song one more time, I'm gonna like lose my mind. And you know, specifically with I mean, it's not on this album, obviously, but going into it, I was like, I'm gonna hate this because his voice on that song, it's like, it has like this weird fucking sound. And I was telling my friend Nick about it, and he was like, oh, well, I mean, that's just like a thing he does. Because he played me a song of his new album, and it didn't sound anything like that. So I was like, okay, so he deliberately makes himself sound like an annoying twat. Because, just because. I'm sorry, I just can't emphasize enough how much I hate this genre of music. I mean, even going back to the first one I did, I got 2 Kanye albums, both of them fucking dead last. Like, this, like, huge mainstream rap, like, genre is never gonna work for me. Let this be a lesson to everyone watching. Do not give me anything like this, because it will be dead last, guaranteed. All right, I'm sorry, Rexon, but like at least you knew you knew what you were getting into, so at least there's that. All right, so moving on to number 38. We have Palms Rock Island from Zeb, and this one was also getting really annoying. Like, there's that, like, steel drum thing that goes on in, like, the first couple songs that really got on my nerves. Like, honestly, the whole thing was just a little annoying. Specifically with Forced Hand, dude. Like, legitimately sounds like people picked up instruments for the first time in their life and hit record. Like, this is what you get. Yeah, not a fan of that one. Like, that thing. Like, that thing kept, like, popping up. It's mostly the production. Like, the way it sounds was really draining, and that's what really did it for me. So again, this is another big no for me. And from Bob Jazz, we have Jellyfish, Spilt Milk. Very derivative, but I think it's great. Well, I'm glad you think it's great, but okay, a bit derivative is, you know, I see what you're saying. It certainly is a unique sound. Like Sabrina and Plato, those were some pretty interesting songs, but like it's kind of like sensory overload. Like by the middle of it, I was so exhausted listening to it. Yeah, by the time we got to the track Bye Bye Bye, like I clocked out. Just another prime example of a vocalist really just killing it for me. Yeah, it's just a little obnoxious, and like it gave me a headache, dude. I'm not gonna lie, it gave me a headache. So. Okay, and from Nasty Man, we have yet another Bjork album. This time we have Biophilia. I almost never recommend this artist to people because she's super out there, so I'm not expecting to place high. No one likes this album like I do. I never see it in the conversation for her best, but I think it's right up there with her early material. Oh, I'm sorry, Bjork. I remember seeing that comment. I was like, I'm going to say it right this time. And then I totally forgot about it. Bjork is one of the most unique and interesting artists of our time. You either love her or you just don't get it. Well, I'll tell you what, Nasty Man. Considering this is now the 3rd record I've heard, and it is once again near the bottom, I gotta say, guys, I don't think Bjork is going to do it for me. And this one specifically, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Nathan For You, but I'm not gonna describe the whole thing, but basically there was this episode where they tried to convince like customs that a smoke detector is an instrument to like save on like shipping costs or whatever. So they actually put on a concert where a guy was standing on the stage with a smoke detector, beeping it to label it as like a musical instrument. And that's what this whole record is. It's basically just, let's take all these random things, make all these weird stuff like those like electric power adapters, and make a record with it. Like, it's cool. The idea of it is really cool. However, I don't want to listen to it because it doesn't exactly... It's not exactly fun to listen to. I'll put it like that. So, like, and her voice is fine, I guess. But, yeah, like I said, this is the third one already, and I haven't liked any of them. So, I think it's time to put Bjork over here to rest. And from Al Aaron, we have Tragically Hip's Fully Completely. Some good Canadian rock for you. And I thought it was just kind of okay Canadian rock. Like, the ending of Pigeon Camera I liked. Hold on. Can we get a clip of that really quick? Like this part right here. I really like this. This is really nice. But everything else, it's like okay, you know? I'd say okay, the bottom three, Kendrick, Palm, and Jellyfish are the hell no, never again tier. And these next couple are like they're like listenable. However, there's not a lot pulling me into them. Yeah, kind of like I said, the ending of Pigeon Camera I really liked, but that was basically it. Everything else is just very, very okay. Up next from Interesting Handle, we have Surrounded by Ghosts by Myth of Logic. Really cool album by one guy. Well, I'll tell you what, I kind of prefer that one guy myself, but this was okay. Like I said, these next couple, like, there's just not a whole lot really pulling me back in to listen to it again. Also, I think this is, like, definitely the least known artist. Like, on Spotify, bro's got 107 monthly listeners. 107. So, definitely not exactly well known. It's cool to hear an album from someone who's not, you know, like super big. But, which, that's going to be another one. It's going to be another edition eventually. Like, some local bands. And this would be a good contender for that. Something like this. But, yeah, like, there's a few good moments, but kind of like mid-prog, you know, kind of like basking in the glory days of the good old days of goddamn Flower Kings and all that stuff. But yeah, it's okay. Okay, and to the last album I listened to for this, we have Imaginal Disc by Magdalena Bay from Like a Guy. This wasn't my first pick, but I decided my original was a tad too distorted. Hope you enjoy. Again, I feel bad because I feel like that line really changed some people's minds, but it's whatever. The first song on this album completely blows compared to the rest of the album. Just thought I should warn you before listening. Again, I don't read these before I listen, and in my notes, I was like, I absolutely hated the first song. So I'm glad you also agree that the first song is really bad. But, like, I thought every track did, at least, like, the first few, every track I did like more and more. It peaked at Death and Romance. However, the biggest problem with this album, I really hate her voice. It's really annoying. that's like the most tolerable it was. Like the songs before that, it was just, I don't know. She sounds like she's like trying to imitate like a child or something. I don't know. Really don't like her voice. That really killed it for me. But like, it's a shame because when I saw that there was synth pop, I was like, ooh, is this gonna be like the final buzzer beater #1 first place? But no. I just want to find another Solid State Survivor, man. I just want another Rydeen in my life. And this, unfortunately, is not going to be it. But, yeah. Like, I like everything else revolving around the record. But another voice killer, man. Another voice killer. Okay, and from the last one to the first, this is the first album I heard from George. We have Porter Robinson's Nurture. There's a high chance you'll hate this, but to me, it's probably the most beautiful electronic pop album I've ever heard. Drifting apart from loops and samples and focusing on songwriting, this album's production, melodies, and lyrical themes are really surprising to me. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. And the reason it took this video took so long is because for the first time, I actually re-listened to several of these albums. Mostly to like figure out like placements, especially like the top two, or my number 1 and 2. I was like, okay, which one of these do I like more? And this is another one to listen to again because it was the first one, and that was 2 months ago. So I wanted to get a fresh listen in, and yeah, it pretty much stayed the same. A lot of it reminds me of like the 1975, and that it's too happy. Like, it's weird. It's a weird criticism, but like when music is designed to have like to be overly happy, it really just like it's a bit exhausting. And yeah, there are some catchy moments for sure, and there's a lot of it that I liked. Not a lot of it, but there was, oh my god, I didn't even write down what track it was, but there was one where it was like actually like really smooth. Yeah, shit like wind tempos, like this. I like this. This is really nice. But then when it's like this. Yeah, not a big fan of that. I mean, even his description is like :D, like the smiley face. That's all it is. So it's happycore. However, I don't like happycore. I want to be miserable. Give me more miserable albums. But yeah, I just there's a long road from now to when I actually listen to stuff like this. However, you did get the approval of my guitarist, so there's that. He said this would be very high on his list if he was doing it, so there's at least that. But for me, not a whole lot. Also, my camera's about to die, so that's what happens when you film 45 minutes and then start recording for another 25 minutes, and your stupid camera has like a fucking 3-second battery life, so it's gonna die. So let's get one more in here. With the walls coming down, something like that. And from John Miller, we have B1000 by Guided by Voices. That was really confusing to me for a while. Robert Poland has over 100 records. Yeah, well, you know how many records Buckethead has? Oh, right. Okay, I remember. Yeah, I heard this album with my friend Nick when we were driving out to Indiana, and we were both like, if it wasn't so bad sounding. Like, I looked it up, right? And they recorded this whole thing on like 8 tracks, or like, it was very guerrilla style recording across many cities. So like, it was purposely made to sound bad. And that goes back, harboring back to the last edition where I talked about Burzum and how he intentionally makes it sound shitty. It's an automatic killer. It automatically kills it. Like, a record should not sound like Damaged Metal. I had a band in high school and we recorded our whole album in my garage with a single Rock Band microphone in the middle of the garage and recorded everything, mostly everything. And that sounds better than this record does. And that is really bad. Like, and the most criminal part about it is the music itself is like pretty decent. Actually, it's pretty decent. It's like you go see a show and the opener band. It's like they're okay. Like you don't mind it, but you're not like about to go buy everything. You know, like Echo's Myron was pretty decent. Really liked the Pigpen, whatever Pigpen song that was. That was good. But then you had a song like Gold Star for Robot Boy. I hated that song. That was pretty bad. But yeah, there's stuff in here that reminds me of like Nirvana and like Arctic Monkeys. But why did they record it like this? Why did they record it like this? I would give it a pass if it was their first record, but it's like their fifth or sixth one. Okay, so there's no excuse for this shit. Record your stuff proper. Moral of the story. Alright, so yeah, my batteries are going to die, so I'll see you in a couple seconds with a different camera angle probably.
The next day.
And welcome back to the program. Continuing on from QDB, we have David Byrne's Look Into the Eyeball. Stupid ass. Alright, yeah, this one, again, pretty okay. Honestly, his vocals kind of got a little draining for me. Like, I didn't really love them. Like, they were fine, but not a big fan. And this is another one of those albums where, you know, they kind of never shut up, and that just makes it even more. I think maybe that's it. It's not his voice. It's just the amount of vocals. It's a bit much. You know, everything else is pretty passable, you know. Really, almost the exact definition of a mid record. But, you know, it's okay. And up next from MD over here, we have Depeche Mode's Playing the Angel, just my favorite album from my younger days. And this was not at all what I thought it was going to sound like. You know, Depeche Mode, I know, you know, obviously everyone knows that one song, I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I was expecting that, but this was completely different, which I'll give it that. It's actually kind of sinister, like very industrial sounding backing tracks. The only song was Precious, which was, I thought the record was going to sound more like that as opposed to everything else. So definitely a neat twist on my expectations. But yeah, once again, it's okay.
For he has died and he died.
And up next from Josh McDonough, we have Second Contribution by Shawn Phillips. Steven Wilson mentioned this album in his What's in My Bag video. I listened to it. It's awesome. It's a blend of folk, classical, rock, and I really enjoyed it. And I really thought it was pretty okay as well. Favorite track easily was the Ballad of Casey Deese. Really nice riff with really good vocals. It was built really nicely. That was just a pretty solid track. Other than that, I like the string section in Schmidt's Waltz. Has that nice, sinister kind of sounding vibe to it. That's really awesome. But yeah, I'm not crazy on folk, but it's a nice listen. It's a nice listen, but yeah, not much else on beyond that. And the award for the most fun title to say possibly ever belongs to Music Junkie's The Rippingtons' Kilimanjaro. That is just so awesome to say. This was my introduction to smooth jazz as a genre, and it remains one of my go-to 80s albums. And dude, it took me like 10 minutes to figure out what exactly this was, and I found out what it was. It's Hotel TV Core. You know, when you turn on your hotel TV and it has that that screensaver, this is what plays. But I did really like Backstabbers. Like, that bass is just grooving the shit out of this the whole time. So, yeah, like this. This is the Hotel TV core I'm talking about. But yeah, like it was pretty solid. Definitely getting into our better records up here. And honestly, okay, TBH, it probably should be a little higher, but I already did everything, so I don't want to change it. But yeah, good stuff. And from Android Wutan, Sly and the Family Stone with There's a Riot Going On. More like there's a lot going on. That the whole thing, like, there's definitely a foundation here, but it just feels too jammy. Like, a lot of songs feel like they just kind of go on and on. Like Running Away, I thought felt like the most cohesive track, but it's also a single version, so it's likely edited down. So there's probably a much longer version of that floating around. Perhaps this is just a case of right group, wrong album kind of thing going on, where I feel like something, if it was just a little more focused, I would like it a whole lot more. Maybe there's another record they did that floats more in line of that running away song, but for this one, it just kind of gets lost a lot. And from Haley, we have There Are But Four Small Faces by The Large Faces. And this one, honestly, this is weird for me to say, but I felt like it was too short. Like, a lot of songs were like between 2 and 3 minutes, and it's like I could hardly get a grasp on a song. Like, as soon as I started getting into the track, it ended. So it's only like a half hour. Like, it was good, but yeah, I feel like I could have used a little more of it. Alright, so we have a double wombo combo here from both Mr. Hitek and Yuma. We have Portishead's Dummy. Since you really... Okay, it's not me. It's since you really want no electric guitars, I would recommend Portishead with their album Dummy. I'm a big metalhead and love this album. It has such an awesome atmosphere. I can understand if you don't like it, but the style is a bit special. But that's the challenge, right? That is the challenge indeed. And that is why I had such a hard time with this one. Like, I like Sour Times. I like the little riff and kind of everything around it, building it. Both It Could Be Sweet and Roads had a nice chill vibe. I like that one. They're busting out the Saint Anger snare 9 years before Saint Anger, so that's pretty impressive. And really, it was just the first track and Numb that I didn't like. I would want to hear more, because this is pretty new to me. I don't even know what the hell trip hop really is. But that's why I'm kind of like on the fence on this one. I don't know. I'd have to hear more to even decide if I even like it. But yeah, it had a few tracks that I could dig. And from Big Master, we have El Patio by Triana. It's sung in Spanish, but it's really great. And yeah, the first track was pretty epic. As I expected, the guitar work was going to slap, and it sure did. And really, besides one of the worst hi-hat sounds I have ever heard, probably even worse than Cowboys from Hell, it's another solid record. The guitar, best part, unsurprisingly, and the keys also slayed in it. It was good. Very, very, very solid one. And from Rog Boy, we got Coil's Love's Secret Domain. And I thought The Snow was cool. It was certainly interesting. You know, it never really stayed in one zone the whole time. Even had that little Lorca, not Orca. Had a nice little guitar, Spanish guitar at the end there, and yeah, it's kind of another one where it's like I'm not sure about it because it's kind of like ambient and weird. Yeah, it's a weird record, but yeah, solid. And from Asus, we have Camel's The Snow Goose. I will suggest my favorite instrumental album of all time. And I have nothing to say about this. It was just a nice, solid, enjoyable listen. Not much else to add. I've been through Camel before. I don't really remember them. But, yeah, this... I think I don't know what number this is, but it looks like we're somewhere in the halfway point. So it was just enjoyable. Enough said. And up next from Lucas, we have Gustavo Cerati's Bocanada. Bocanada. We got Bocanada from Gustavo. And this is an interesting one because this is a solo career of a guy who is in a band that we will also be talking about in this video. So we kind of have two albums from the same guy. And Puente was kind of cutting it close to being metal, but not too bad. We had Rio Babel had a sick ass bass thing going. We have a few of those electronic tracks like the last one, and I really just kind of wanted to skip those. But overall, I heard this after the Soda Stereo one, but this is another solid record from this guy specifically. And speaking of Soda Stereo, from Leonardo Cruz, we have Soda Stereo's Dynamo. Soda Stereo is probably the most important rock band in the Spanish-speaking community, and this one probably their best work. It's just a piece of experimental rock music which hits hard. It hits hard. I would say it's pretty solid rock. You know, most songs are made up of kind of jamming on the same riff, but the style at least changes between every track, so it doesn't get super repetitive or anything. You know, we got some delay stuff, we got some funky bass tracks. Like it was definitely a cool listen. I don't really have any standout tracks, but for number, okay, I'm gonna find out where the hell I am. Holy smokes, we're only at 19. Jesus Christ. Okay, it's at 19, but it's high enough. It's good. I enjoyed it. And our returning champ comes back with Finch's Glory to the Inner Force. It's going to be hard to do better than last time. Well, it's always going to be tough trying to outdo your own victory. It's kind of foreign because it's from the Netherlands. But at the same time, it's instrumental, so you can't really tell. Also, it's not... Yeah, I had to listen to it on YouTube, which was fun. But, yeah, honestly, it really just felt like 70s Yes without John Anderson, because it is instrumental. And 70s... Yeah... With a few exceptions... Yes, without John Anderson, honestly, just feels like a crime. But I did like Pisces. Pisces was a good track. Yeah, honestly, it was basically just like 70s prog. It had like long ass tracks and everything, but no vocals. So yeah, it was good. Yeah, not quite harmonium, but there's a few things that can be, I suppose. I wish you'd come on home. And from Jonathan Black, we have Genuine House Rockin' Music by Hound Dog Taylor. And I got what I advertised. It was just genuine house rockin' music. It's just your blue stuff. And honestly, I think it's a good thing it's the only blues record on this list, because I don't even know how I would pit two of them against each other. This got a starring approval from my guitarist, so you at least get that as well. So. Ridiculous. And up next, from the guy who couldn't be fucking bothered to leave a comment, even though I reminded him like twice, Nick Scarpinato with Elliott Smith's Either Or. Yeah, and as far as like the solo guys go, I definitely like the Drake one a little more, but this one's good too. It kind of has like a nice debut record, Foo Fighters chill vibe. At least when that record was chill. So, it was good. And from Professor Dr. Fabio, we have Van der Graaf Generator's Pawn Hearts. This is the best album by the band. This band isn't very keyboard and saxophone heavy, and I think you're going to love the drumming by Guy Evans. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Dutchland part. But, yeah, Man Erg was pretty awesome. It did get a little heavy in parts, but, I mean, it's like old 70s prog, so I think you're in the clear there. And, you know, years ago, I went through Van der Graaf Generator, and I remember them being a more memorable prog band from those days. I don't know how this is going to compare to the rest of their stuff, but this was pretty solid. And now for the record that had the impossible task to live up to being my 2,112th album to listen to. Although, out of all the ones I had left, I specifically chose this one because of what you say here. From Metal Rabbit, we have Ween's The Mollusk. It's the album that inspired Steven Hillenburg to create one of the most popular cartoons ever made about a sea sponge. But outside of that context, it is a brilliant ocean-themed album with a lot of variety in music. To me, that's what Ween is all about, making every album distinctive by committing towards a specific theme. And what a crazy ride this was. It's basically if weird-ass Pink Floyd had a baby with weird-ass Beatles. You know, like I'll give him the fact that every single track is extremely different from the last. Like, Blarney Stone was crazy lyrically. It's Gonna Be Alright sounded like a George Harrison song. The opening track was like Piper at the Gates, Pink Floyd. It's pretty insane that that's actually where SpongeBob and Patrick came from. And then in Pink Eye, I was like, wow, this is insane. And then as soon as the dog started barking, I just lost it. And then we have fucking Waving My Dick in the Wind. And Ocean Man, which is their biggest song, although I hate the vocals on that song. I don't know what effect they did to it, but I never liked the vocals in that track. Yeah, this is insane. This record is absolutely insane, and definitely the biggest blast I had listening to a record in this whole list. Alright, and from Sam Backwards, we have Osamu Sato's All Things Must Be Equal. And I was digging it. I was digging it well enough for the first few tracks. And then Eastern Mind, bro, probably one of the single best tracks in this whole list. That one was so sick. That was so sick. Tokyo Planet was also pretty cool, and also as soon as I saw that track 10 We got Retro Cognition 2017. As soon as I saw, I don't know how to say his first name, but the dude from Yellow Magic Orchestra's name on there, I was like, okay, all right, I see what this record is. Yeah, anything that had just like a solid bass line with like whatever weird stuff is going on top, that was all good stuff. Although there was a lot of weird things as well. Like whenever there's like vocal samples, that's all like weird stuff. And it's also pretty long, you know, hour 3 minutes. And that's also at least very different from everything else on this list. But yeah, dude, Eastern Mind, man. That's a song I'm going to be coming back to a lot. And from Gary Nicholton, we have Here's Little Richard by Big and Tall Richard. And yeah, that's some Fallout core right there. If you know me, that's kind of my jam, bro. I'm talking ink spots. I'm talking whoever else. But yeah, the Fallout and Portillo's core, which nobody's really going to know what Portillo's is. But it's this like 50s rock and roll vibe that I really dig. Although I've never heard a full record, like in this style of music. I never heard a full record. It was just tracks here and there. Because like, yeah, everything's basically the same song, but it's also like 28 minutes, so it's okay. And yeah, I never even heard of this guy, which I guess is surprising because he seems to be very famous, specifically for that one song. I forgot what it's called already, but Queen covered it. And yeah, it's good. And from Joel Lappy, we have Air's Moon Safari. Great synth and bass action. And this is kind of like the perfect thing to listen to when I've just had like a long day hearing like bullshit all day long at work, and I want to listen to nothing, but I don't want to be in silence. This is a solid thing to throw on because you have a little hint of YMO in there, which is cool. And like I said, super chill electronic music. Don't have any highlight tracks, but yeah, this is a record I would go to when I don't want to listen to any other record. All right, top 10 time. We're almost done here. Let's go. Let's finish it off. We have from Jarnathan. Jarnathan. What the fuck? Jarnathan. We have U2's Joshua Tree. And I don't know why I just had like a bias going into this record. Probably because that shit they pulled back in the day with the iTunes thing. I don't know, and Bono is just kind of a not decent person. So going into it, I was like, ugh, I don't want to listen to U2. But then, yeah, it was good, and I never realized until I heard the first 3 tracks, like, you know, their biggest songs, back to back to back, but they all sound the damn same. Because they all have that like whittly guitar thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but like if you listen to all 3 of them, you'll pick it up. But it's all like the same thing, same beat, same big held long vocals. But then at least after those couple of tracks, it changes. You know, we have a solid bass and drum groove going on through most of Blue Sky, and yeah, everything else is pretty solid too. And I know I just made fun of the first 3 songs sounding the same, but they are good songs. And yeah, it's just another solid record that it almost feels like it's illegal to listen to, but it is good. I have to admit, it is good. And from Christian, we have Tears for Fears, The Seeds of Love. Last ranker albums I gave you, they're songs from the Big Chair. This is my 9th favorite album ever and is almost on this tier of the previous record. It is a lot more artsy and less pop, synth pop, as they use orchestras, long song lengths, and a gospel singer, Oleta Adams. World's biggest Cal Swing fan, I tell you. And yeah, I did like the songs from the Big Chair a little more, but I did like the title track in this one. That was really solid. But this one is also pretty decent. What I'm learning from these two records that I've heard from them is that Tears for Fears are a solid group. They're a solid group. I don't know if they get like bad in their career or if they have like bad records, but from what I heard, I would be surprised if they did. It's painful, but I might as well say sorry. And from Scumbag Productions, we have Brittany Howard's What Now, one of my favorite albums from 24. And this is straight up just like music school core. Like everything just feels like it was just deliberately designed like by scientists, musical scientists, to sound really good. Like the title track was very solid. But mostly like the whole like first half I thought was pretty damn good. Kind of like the last few tracks, it kind of goes a little off the rails, feels less tight. But that first chunk, from like what's being played to the production of it, it's just so well done. It is such a well crafted record, and I was very surprised by it. All right, now we're kind of getting into. We have a few classic rock records to talk about, and I haven't talked about any of them because they're all up here. Which feels, rock is kind of like metal's dirty cousin, where, okay, you don't want metal? How about we give you some classic rock? Because like it's the same style, it's just less heavy. So maybe I should have excluded rock, but because I didn't, here we are, and they're all really good. Starting with Rio by Duran Duran from The Other Guy. From Mark Wahlberg or Will Ferrell. I don't know which one of them, but one of them gave me Duran Duran. And yeah, Rio obviously is the big song. Hold Back Rain and New Religion. I also like those two songs. And it's another one of those records where the bass is kind of going ham the entire time. Not much a fan of the last two tracks. However, everything else, good stuff. Enough said. And from Head of Bucket, we have Komara. This might be pushing it a bit. It's experimental jazz with heavy elements. In an ideal world, I'd make you listen to this by yourself in the dark to set the proper mood, which I did. It's a very evil-sounding record, and evil-sounding it is. This shit was crazy. Definitely never heard anything like this before. It's like this weird, atmospheric, like, really cool thing that they've made. I don't know when I'll hear it again, but like as soon as it got to God Left This Place, like as soon as like the weird voiceover kicked in, it finally like clicked on me. And I really liked when it came back in at the end too, like the last track where it had kind of like drones, and then I don't know, just like the sound of his voice was so fucking good. It was so good. I really like that spooky shit. It's like a music equivalent of a horror movie, which I fucking love. Yeah, don't really have a standout track because everything else is just kind of like, it's this weird fucking thing. But yeah, good stuff. And the Callous Swing member back to back. We were from Ignis. We have Toes, the book about my idle plot on a vague anxiety. Toe is a sick math rock band out of Japan. They basically only play clean guitar and also mix in some electronic style beats. The drumming is very slick as well. And this whole thing, it had like the first record, the first Explosion in the Sky record, How Strange Innocence vibes the whole time, which is why it's this high up, because that's such a great sound and vibe. Yeah, specifically, like you said, how the drums sounded and played. Yeah, clean guitars going ham everywhere. Nice listen. Once again, I don't really have a standout track. However, good stuff. Good overall record. All right, so here's our big classic rock chunk. All right, starting with Big Frank, we're going to have The Grand Illusion by Styx. I feel like this one is going to be hit or miss. I don't know if you're going to like it or hate it, but I'll give it a shot. It's hard to imagine a universe where I would hate this. Because, yeah, like Miss America went pretty hard. Crazy Ass Phil's, like, had Crazy Ass Phil's and a sick riff the whole time. I feel like they're like the biggest prog band in disguise. Like if all their records sounded like this, I could easily see them being lumped right into that like group of the Yeses and the Genesises and everything else like that. It has all the ingredients of those old prog bands. It's just their songs aren't 15 minutes long. That's really the only difference. Oh yeah, then also Come Sail Away's on here, which, you know, everyone knows that song. But yeah, nice, only 40 minutes long. Damn good listen. And the bronze medal goes to James Cross with Toto's Hydra. Really good album indeed. Honestly, better than I thought it was going to be. Like, Toto is a band I've never like gone out and listened to. However, this was a damn good record to start with. Like, 99 was a little proggy. That was cool. Yeah, Mama, that was just like a big old jam. More cool bass lines. More solid-ass stuff. Just another really great classic rock record that probably... I don't know how popular it is, but it was just really well done. It was really well done. And our runner-up goes to Walk It Rex with the Kinks, Lola vs. Powerman, and the Money Go Round Part 1. There never was a Part 2, but here we are. Great classic album by a fantastic band. And obviously I've heard of the Kinks. You really got me. You really got me. And Lola's the Yoda, right? Yo Yoda. Weird Al did a cover of it, so that's how you know it's good. Yeah, like Get Back in Line. Really like the vocal melody in that one. There's catchy melodies everywhere. Basically every song could be a highlight. Great little length too. Whole thing has just like a great vibe. Honestly, one of the best British invasion records I've ever heard, which is why it's number 2. However, it was number 1. It was number 1 for a while, but like I said earlier, how rock is kind of like metal's cousin. I wanted something different. I wanted something that I haven't listened to anything like it before. And really, the most fun album, and just overall, it was just a lot of fun. Congratulations to Camerona with Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, Going Places. This edition's winner, and like I said, it's just a lot of fun. So many well-known bops. Well, I knew them, but I did not know what they were called. We got Spanish Flea and Tijuana Taxi. It's nice and short, instrumental, good, classic, kind of like meme songs, but way back then, before those were even a thing. And yeah, like, it's just a lot of fun to listen to. That's really the main thing. It was just so much fun to go through it. And yeah, definitely interested in checking out Herb Alpert. I was looking into it a little bit because I wanted to specifically only do the Tijuana Brass because the guy has more records than I can even count. So I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with the video on these guys. But so yes, once again, congratulations to Camerona, and look forward to that video soon-ish. And to the rest of you, well, better luck next time, as I say. I'll see what I want to do for the next one, but hopefully it shouldn't be too long from now. So until the Herb Alpert video, go check out Going Places, because if you haven't heard of it, I guarantee you have as soon as you hear those couple tracks. So happy listening.